Every time you try to grow an operation, especially when debt is involved, you are taking on risk. And every time you're taking on risk, there's a chance you won't make it back to where you were before. Back to that safe zone you used to have. That's why risk has to be handled very carefully. So, here is today's question. When does growth become the beginning of the end? Welcome, friends. I'm Fred, here to talk about investment, business, real life, and training, all from my personal perspective. And today, when I talk about growth, I'm not talking about investments, I'm talking about business growth. Every time you grow using debt, you are increasing fragility. And in Brazil, this problem is even bigger because interest rates are extremely high. But even in countries with cheaper credit, like US, I still see debt-driven growth with a lot of caution. My personal DNA, when it comes to business and investing, has always been very simple. I grow with my own money. I don't build my life on debt. I know some people think differently, and that's fine. Everyone chooses their own level of risk. Yes, people who use debt often grow faster, but they can also break much faster. Speed cuts both ways. Let me give you a real example from my own life. Once I built a warehouse. I kept it for about 8 years. Then I sold it when a good opportunity came up. After that, I found a very special piece of land. This land had frontage on two different streets, different levels. One was an avenue, the other was a lower street inside the neighborhood. There was an 18-meter difference in height between them. So I had an idea. Build one warehouse at the lower level, pour a massive slab, and then build another warehouse on the top, facing the avenue. Instead of one warehouse, I would have two. The value of the land would practically double. Sounds great, right? Yes, but it was risky. Here is the key difference. The money was mine. This was my profession. And I was in the construction site every single day. I controlled every detail. That slab wasn't decorative. Trucks would need to drive over it. So the structure had to be extremely well designed. No shortcuts, no gambling. We built the slab using prefabricated panels that we produced inside the site itself. That decision put full responsibility on me. If something went wrong, there was no one else to blame. But the risk was controlled. Why? Because even if something went wrong, the project might take longer, it might cost a bit more, it might reduce profit, but it would not destroy my life. There was no debt choking me every month. This is the point most people don't understand. When you grow using debt, risk stops being technical and becomes existential. Now, you don't just have a project to manage, you have a clock ticking. If revenue slows, if costs increase, if the market turns, you don't just lose money, you lose freedom. And that's where growth turns into the beginning of the end. I'm a big believer in arithmetic growth. 1 plus 1, then one more, then one more. Slow? Yes. Boring? Sometimes, but sustainable. What I've seen many times over the years is people chasing exponential growth, turning on into 10, turning 1 into 10, 10 into 100, 100 into 1,000, and sometimes it works. But very often, what happens is this. 1 becomes 10. Then 10 collapses back to 1. And then the person starts over, again and again and again. The dream of becoming the next Elon Musk is seductive, but is extremely rare. What's far more achievable for most people is stacking small, solid wins over time, solid wins. Here's a philosophy that changed my life. Your business should serve your investments, not endlessly reinvesting everything back into the business, chasing infinite growth. Instead, you grow the business to an optimal size, not too small, not too big, not fragile. Once it's there, the net profit becomes fuel for investments, and investments buy something far more valuable than status. They buy peace of mind. I think a lot about life in terms of buying time. Let's say your monthly expenses are $1,000. If you earn $2,000 and save $1,000 every month, you are literally buying one future month of freedom. Do this consistently. 12,000, 1 year of peace. 120,000, 10 years of peace. This doesn't mean you will stop working. I personally don't even want to stop working, but you work by choice, not by desperation. That changes everything. That's why this money must be invested, not sitting idle, not exposed to inflation. Investments are not about getting rich fast. They are about protecting your future self. Yes, there are amazing stories. Take Honda, for example. The company started by putting engines on bicycles. Today, it's one of the biggest manufacturers in the world. Beautiful story. But here's the uncomfortable question. How many try and didn't make it? We only hear about the survivors. The graveyard is silent. That doesn't mean you should never take risks. It means you should take intelligent risks. If you want to take risks, do it with money you can afford to lose. A controlled downsize, not threat to your basic stability. That's how I see things. Like this YouTube channel, for example. It may work, it may not. But what's the real risk? Almost zero. The biggest investment here is time. And that's fine. What would be reckless is selling my assets, for example, taking debt, building studios, hiring people, and betting my entire life on it. That's not courage. That's irresponsibility. Growing from zero is often more satisfying because your biggest asset is not money. It's who you become in the process, skills, judgment, emotional stability. These things compound you. Growth becomes the beginning of the end when it's fueled by debt, it's driven by ego, it ignores downside risk, it sacrifices peace for speed. Sustainable growth may not look impressive on Instagram, but it builds something far more powerful, a life with options. Tell me in the comments what you think. When have you seen growth turning to collapse? And where do you draw the line between ambition and recklessness? Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video.